Greetings, kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and this is our World of Darkness. It's Metaplot Monday, and I do, in fact, have a metaplot to go over with you guys today, but I just wanted to say thank you. Recently, we hit 100 subscribers, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot when you have people who have hundreds of millions of whatever subscribers. But 100 is huge for me because I really wasn't expecting it. I just did this because I didn't have anything to do. We're in a very interesting point in the world right now, our very own little dark side of history where we're dealing with such a horrible situation, and I needed something to do because I couldn't work anymore in this situation. I'm very lucky to be in a life where I could take the time to not worry about it. It did hit me on a gamer side too, because I know a lot of people out there have gone through the same thing as this. I'm a LARPer. I used to go to once a month Mind's Eye theater games, and I hosted a once a week Vampire the Masquerade game for years, and this is really taking a toll on my social life, much like it has for a lot of people's. And I want to say thank you for helping to ease that for me, because that's what this is. I'm gaming for you guys, I guess. I don't know. But I'm very excited about that. Now, that being said, I do want to get on to the topic of today, and that is you. You are the topic. You are the point of Metaplot Monday today, and I'm doing that because I had a request from somebody, and I'm butchering this name, and I greatly apologize because I don't like to do that. I don't like to butcher names, but I believe it's Esteban Bartiak. I'm very, very sorry. I actually had a very great conversation with him over Facebook because I have a Voivode Maquette Presents Our World of Darkness Facebook page, which I don't talk about as much on here. I probably should like promote the shit out of that thing, but it's just for people who want to get on and have more of a interaction with me and talk with me and discuss topics. And I also am I'm trying to, it's difficult with everybody's schedules and stuff, but I'm trying to run an online game set in the World of Darkness format for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. But anyway, this awesome guy he's on right now. Let's see him on there right now. I recently found your YouTube channel and became a fan immediately. You really help to understand things for beginners like me. I requested to join your Facebook group too, so awesome. And I've already let him in on that one. I have a topic I would really like to see you do a video on, if that's not a problem. It never is, first off. If anybody has any requests for topics, help me hone things down. Because that's the reason why Metaplot Monday went from I'm trying to think of random shit that pops into my head that interacts with the overarching World of Darkness to doing lore sheets. Because I couldn't hone down. I had so many ideas that I was getting stressed out. So I figured I would take my time, write them down as I go, and then when it was time to do Metaplot Monday, just until something really jumps out to me, just do a lore sheet. It made sense to me because that is such a great way to connect a character into the game itself. During your videos, I'm always amazed how rich characters you have, and even though you speak about them only in a couple sentences usually. If you could do a video about your thought process for character creation, that would be awesome in my opinion. He's not talking about dots or anything like that, but he's more talking about coming up with how I come up with a character. I have a ridiculous roster of NPCs, and I can only say that because I build my NPCs or SPCs, however you want to put it. I build them as PCs. I try to flesh them out as much as possible. And I understand that it's not everybody's cup of tea to make a character like that. And all I can say is you got to do what's right for you when it comes to that sort of thing. I've had characters that I've made that are inspired from movie characters. I've had characters that I get inspired by specific songs. And I'll give you examples on all of these. But it's just whatever catches my fancy is really what it comes down to. I'm trying to think of the best characters that I got. My very first character that I created was the product of all of the ridiculous nonsense in my head from high school. I made a Toreador who was rich and conceited, and a lot of people would consider the classic Toreador, but that guy had a backstory that I wonder what my STs were thinking when they approved that convoluted novel that I turned in as a character history. Because I didn't turn in a sheet of paper that was like name, blah, date of birth, blah, or anything like that. I turned in a notebook that was cover to cover, every page, front and back, character bio that was awful. My very first character was awful. And I still use him as an NPC from time to time with a toned down thought process on who he was. Because I threw him into everything. He was a revenant. He had mages in his family. He was connected to the Fae. He had an uncle who was a werewolf. Like, it was really... If somebody had turned in that character sheet to me, I would have been like, no. Let's just, let's not do this. And you come back with something a little bit less drug-induced. And I try not to be that kind of person. I try not to tell people no that they can't play specific things. I will hone things down with people. Like I've worked with. I met a wonderful person through this channel by the name of Heather Bryson, and she is a Salubri enthusiast, which I love. And I'm actually surprised she didn't come to me with a Salubri character when I opened up. On the Facebook page, I opened up and I said, if anybody is interested in playing a game, let's see what we can do. And she turned in a Toreador character, and I was blown away. But but her character was just like, whoa! And I just had to trim that down a little bit when it came to basically events and basically just making it stick within World of Darkness framework. And I think that might be where I should probably tell people that I like to start, is I will create a person, but I want to work them into how in the World of Darkness they actually fit. And the inspiration for a character is so vitally important for me. I can't say that it's going to be important for everybody. I know people who can just create a person based on the math and the dots and have it get fleshed out over time. They will start with a basic character sheet where they're like, I want this character to be able to do these things, and it will work really well. And where I'm impressed that people can do that, I am definitely not a person who can do that. I have a very long-standing character who's a Toreador nobleman, who I came up with because of the Stephen Page song. Stephen Page was the lead singer for Bare Naked Ladies forever. He was a founding member, and then he went off and he did his own thing, and his first album was called The Vanity Project. I don't remember if it was the first or second song on the Vanity Project album, Wilted Rose, which is a beautiful song, and it just inspired me to create this character. If you're a veteran player under me and you played in the original Thicker Than Water storyline, you will know Thomas Powell. Um, Thomas Powell is his modern name, and he lives off regret. Truthfully, lives off regret for one thing that he's done in his entire life. I basically came up with the idea of someone who would have reached Golconda. He would have fulfilled himself to everything that he was trying to do if it wasn't for this one incident of his life, of his mortal life, that has completely just destroyed him internally. And that is the death of his uncle, which he helped orchestrate. Because he felt he was doing it for the good of his country. But he realized very, very shortly after that not only did he kill someone who was very dear to him, but ended up beginning the downfall of his entire society that he lived in, because he was Brutus, like Julius Caesar was his uncle. And I know that sounds crazy, and the vampires don't typically embrace celebrities, I guess you would say, but I didn't really see him as a celebrity. And he really did cause the fall of Rome, in a way. He destroyed the entire social structure that they had built up, because he felt he was trying to return things back to things. He thought he was trying to return things back to the way that they were before his uncle took over. But he ended up solidifying emperors instead of... Yeah, anyway, I can go on forever about each of these characters, but the thing is that song, Wilted Rose, and also the flaw Undying Remorse, was what helped me to create that character. And then after that point, it was just, what do I do? And keep going with it. And having a character that was so old in a game full of neonates who also still had good intentions. Somebody who was on humanity, who had humanity so high primarily because he felt bad about things that he did when he was alive, was just something fun for me. And so yeah, that's Powell. I'm drinking LaCroix today instead of my typical glass of red wine or tea, because I think it's funny to do things with Vampire the Masquerade and drink LaCroix. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But I still think it's funny. But yeah, watching movies can be a good inspiration. One of my best Sabat characters was inspired from a movie, which I feel that everybody should watch this movie. If nobody has watched Near Dark, there's a pack, a nomadic pack of vampires who go from city to city surviving. It's literally it's a Sabat pack. There are books. I really wish I knew which book it was, but there is a book that has a picture of Bill Paxton in that movie, done up to look like it's pencil. Like it's a photo that has been made to look like a sketch, kind of like this. And that picture is actually directly taken from Near Dark, and I believe it might be the Sabat Guide, for the old tabletop Sabat Guide. But I took the character Jesse, who is the Confederate General Jesse Hooker, who's the guy where prostitutes are called hookers because of him. But I took him and I created an entire plot line really based off just that character. I didn't do much changing from who he is in the movie. I ended up starting up this plot line that just was all about vampires who were created due to their involvement in the Civil War, which ended up building such an interesting just web of relationships, because we had vampires who still held grudges because of placement of northern and southern alliances, which was very interesting for a game that's set primarily in Portland, Oregon. Speaking of, the city is a huge character that STs cannot ignore. you've got to put some love into your city. And I mean, you can just do a vague outline of what the city is and fill it in as you need to do. I've worked with players and I've worked with players and other storytellers in that fashion, and it works. It works very well, especially if you just start with that central point and branch out and just come up with locations as you need. It works. It works a lot, but it is something that, like, that's a growing character at that point. The character that, for those of you who have played with me in the past, that I'm known for the most, I've used him as an NPC. He started off as a player character in a game that I played in, is Marcus Oliver Taylor. And Marcus Oliver Taylor is my first Tzimisce ever. That character was built off of another White Wolf character. That's actually something that other people that you can do if you're coming into a game and you're coming in alone, and you don't have like you don't have a sponsor, if you don't have like another player character who wants to be your sire or anything like that. If you find an NPC or a character from the novels of World of Darkness that you would want to be your sire, you have to think about what qualities you would want, or what qualities that character would want in a child. In Marcus's case, I read the Fall of Atlanta series. If you have not read it, it's the 13 clan novels that were based in Modern Knights for White Wolf. They were condensed down into 4 books. If you haven't had the chance to read the clan novels, I highly suggest it. Because Marcus was actually based off of... I should actually say that differently. Marcus was actually inspired by the Little Tailor of Prague character, who has a jihad card, bling, and he makes some minor appearances in the clan novel series. I suggest getting the 13 books condensed into 4 books. Nordy, this is my other companion in the World of Darkness. This is my dog, Nord. He is going to be 8 years old tomorrow. He's my big boy. Anyway, I'm a child. I love my dog. So, the character of the Little Tailor of Prague, which is this senile, frail, nursery rhyme obsessed Tzimisce who has all of the skin and muscles stripped from his hands, and his finger bones are elongated into these needles like Edward Scissorhands, and he's got catgut thread that goes down, and he also has dementation. And I just thought, what would a child of this thing be like? And I came up with Marcus, who has gone through several iterations. He was originally a member of the Telvaic Tremere family, and kidnapped before his embraced, and it went all over the place. I like to write my ridiculously detailed backstories, but the fact is, I went from him being a human relative of the Telvaic Tremere to being a member of and I believe I've settled on it after all these years of playing him. He is a member of the Kravetsky Revenant family. You got to allow your characters to grow. Also, when you find out that things that you've done are wrong for the setting. Also, I've taken characters from one game to another at times because I felt inspired to use them in different settings, and sometimes you have to tinker with it and it won't work. Another good one, actually, I'm trying to think of different concepts that I've come up with different things. But another one that I had was Sonny Black. Dominic Sonny Black Giovanni. I created a Giovanni character who was so much fun. I played him for months as a ghoul. This was in somebody else's game, which was so weird because like I was playing a human, and I have never felt. There are moments in my game. There's moments in my gaming career where I have felt total terror. And this was one of those times. I was playing a human, and I was in the Elysium. I was actually kind of hosting the Elysium at the time. I was granting the vampires of the city a place to meet that was non-biased. Basically, it was an Elysium. And for some reason, my character was managing it. I don't even know why or how the heck that came to be, but that's what ended up happening. And I do remember having, this is a LARP game, so we have everything all set up. And I had a prop gun set up underneath the bottom of my desk. And they all got up and just started walking up to me at once when they realized that I was human a few minutes into the game. And I do remember just reaching for that gun. But Sonny Black is actually based off of a real life mobster who was a pretty crazy guy. But I'd watched a documentary on real life mafia, and this guy popped up, and I just got so interested in his story. Dominic Napolitano, and everybody called him Sonny Black. There was apparently a group of mafioso, and everybody was going by Sonny. It was like Sonny Black, Sonny Red. It was ridiculous. But I was just listening to his story was just so cool. And I mean, obviously the man did some horrible things, but he was a great character. As I was watching him, I was like, I don't even see this guy as a human. I see him as a character. And I was like, I got to bring this guy in. But I wanted to do it a little bit different. I wanted to have a lot of the person's mannerisms come through that would not have shined through well in a vampire setting. Like he had a decadence obsession when it came to like foods and things like that. So I made a ghoul, and I came in, which was great because I just came in and I'm sitting there like I've got like baked ziti and a tiramisu and stuff like that with me, and everybody's like raising an eyebrow on why the dude who's hosting this place is eating. And then I got ospexed and they tried to kill me. But no, I played that character for a good long while, and it grew. It grew because another player ended up bringing in another Giovanni, and we played off as cousins. I got to play off the whole family aspect of playing a Giovanni, which is something that I think most people who play Giovanni miss out on, because I know a lot of storytellers, myself included in the past, will go, okay, well, playing a Camarilla game, you want to bring in a Giovanni, that's fine, but that's it. No more Giovanni, because we don't want to have the game be overshadowed by that kind of thing. And it's limiting to a character, and that's sad. And as I'm sitting here reading the Cults of the Blood Gods book, I'm just like, oh man, I wish I was running an entire Hekata game, because god damn, they're so interesting. And the Hekata are a sect more than they are a clan anyway, so. But going off topic here. But trying to find something that really inspires you to want to play it. Find a single aspect and branch out. You don't want to have a two-dimensional character that's just one thing. But I do find, at least in my own personal time playing, that songs, movies, books, and things like that can really bring. Oh, I've got one. I've got one. Another Zamitzi that I played in a Dark Age game. This I love this. I love this story. And if anybody played in the Fort Myers, Florida, Port Capuchin Chronicles Dark Age game, awful name, fun game. It was a Dark Age game set in a North African port town. It was so fun, and they did that because the Setites were very prominent in this game. And I will say Setites instead of Ministry because this was way before 5th edition came out. This was when Faith and Fire was the book of source that we used. The book of source. The book of source. That was when Faith and Fire was the source book that we used. I turned this character in, and the storyteller said no. And I had never been turned down by a storyteller before. He said, it's too dark, it's too scary, I don't want this in the game. This is a character, this was a storyteller who allowed people to play Bali. And he wouldn't let me bring this Zamitzi in because he had heard the exploits that I had done with Marcus, and Marcus was a relatively nice guy. So I said, okay, can we build his awfulness into the lore of the city? And he's like, you know what? That would be fun. That would be really fun. So he took my character, built it into the lore of the city, and basically said that this ancient evil vampire he was so bad that he was actually captured by the children of Osiris, mummified, and hidden somewhere. Because that's what the children of Osiris do. They don't kill their enemies. They just torpor them forever. So he puts him under a stadium. And we make it the most ridiculous, stupid story ever, where I believe it was, if a righteous vampire dies on the spot that he is hidden by the hands of infernalists under the light of the full moon, he will rise. That's what will break the mummification spell. And the funniest damn thing is about a year later, I'm playing a La Sombra friar with True Faith, Humanity of 5, which is the top ranking in LARP. If you're not familiar with the system, they condense everything. And I got killed by Bali and Infernalists in the Colosseum on a full moon. So my character fit all the descriptions and was killed in the right. I didn't do anything about it. It was actually something that I completely forgot about. It was a year later. All of this stuff happened. The storyteller looked nervous the entire night when he realized that my character had been pinpointed for assassination by these infernalists that he decided to bring in, or player characters decided to bring in. And they drag me into the stadium, and they kill me right on the spot in the center. And I just hear the storyteller yell, "God damn it!" And he tells everybody they can keep playing, but he needs to take a breather, and he goes off to his car. My character dies, and I'm like, I knew he liked this character because he was fun. I had a lot of fun with the character. I played a friar because I enjoyed the idea of the holy man who would still curse and fight. So basically, I based a La Sombra off Friar Tuck from Robin Hood. I follow the ST out to his car because we're playing in a park, and he's rifling through papers in his trunk, and he goes, "Here," and he just, most aggressive handing over of a character sheet I've ever had. He just hits me with it. He goes, "Here." And I was like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, points up at the moon, and I look up and it's a full moon, and I'm like, "What's wrong?" And I look at the sheet, and it is I stole the name outright from Vampire the Masquerade Redemption. It is Voivode Vukadlok. I stole the name, but it wasn't Vukadlok. I wasn't trying to take over the world or anything like that. I'm sure I would have gotten there at some point. And I guess it could arguably be the same character, but I don't think the time meshes with my torpor and stuff. But I made Voivode Vukadlok, and I described to everybody what happens the next week. I did not bring him in right then and there. I basically everybody had god awful dreams that night. Everybody had god awful dreams that night. All the animals, all cats, I think it was all cats, were summoned, and I don't know why. It's such a dumb thing. But he rose, and it was Mum Ra. I based a character off Mum Ra from Thundercats. I don't know why, but it was fun, and I had a character background that I was going with, and everybody was terrified of him. The assistant storytellers refused to run scenes with me anymore because I was playing a Zamitzi on Road of the Devil, and I did some really, really messed up stuff with that character, which is fun. It's fun to play the bad guy sometimes, but you gotta find. Basically, I know I'm just rambling about stuff like this, and this is probably going to end up being a short video because I'm going to cut out a lot. But you got to find something that is going to inspire you to grow. You don't want to go, oh, I'm going to play this character that I saw in a movie, and I'm specifically going to play that character. Because in most cases, you're going to have, 2 hours of source material to go off of? You're going to get a couple catchphrases in, and you're going to get bored with that character. You got to have the ability to let your character grow. And that is vitally, vitally important. What is that character going to do outside of the situation of the movie that you saw it in or the book that you read it in? What is that inspiration from the song that you got? One of the NPCs that everybody hates the most in my games, and loves at the same time, is Grendel. I typically don't like using demonic forces in my game, primarily because I was in a game that was just all demon all the time, would not stop. We were playing a Vampire the Masquerade game, and it was just demon. It would not stop. Every NPC that I met was a demon. Every plot line led back to demons. It didn't stop. So I brought in a demon in one of my games one time, and he grew so much, and his original inspiration was the song Clint Eastwood by the Gorillaz, like Sunshine in a Bag. And it all started off because I had a player who took the flaw piggybacker. She was playing a apostate Bali, took the flaw piggybacker, which basically means that you have a demon that constantly whispers in your ear, and if a specific topic is mentioned, he will take over your body. It will take over your body. That 2-point flaw, I believe it is, exploded into years and years worth of storyline. Eventually, over time, and I'm talking months, maybe even a year after she started playing the character, there was a redemption arc which ended up killing her. She died, and I didn't want to lose that NPC. He had become such an intertwined character in with the game that the players wanted to keep him around. He basically became the little paperclip for Microsoft Works in the old days. It was like, did you have a question? Did you mean to do this? And he ended up being more of a boon than a bane to most of the player characters, which is hilarious. But he was also he had such plot exposition. If you're doing a game, I highly suggest having one NPC that has all of the lore and is so happy to give it up just so damn happy to talk about it. Because, and also make them slightly unlikable, because everybody won't want to talk to the person, but they will if they find that they can't get answers any other way. But Grendel was such an interesting character because he went from being a 2-point flaw piggybacker to, after the character died, not wanting to lose it, I said, fine, I'm going to put him in something. He's connected to something. So I chose an altar. I decided that like the Bali that we're worshiping at this area had bound this demon to this altar. So if anybody touched the altar, they instantly gained the piggyback flaw. And that happened. That he was getting passed around so much, it was ridiculous. Like, and only the person who had him could hear him. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun having that character be obnoxious constantly. And I picked up so many bad habits from various things. The movie Little Nicky. There's the priest, or there's the archbishop who gets possessed in that movie, who's like, let the sin begin, and then sits there going, like, I would do that shit behind the person who could see me. Well, nobody else could. Just sit there like, whenever anything was going bad. It was stupid, and it was silly, and nobody else could see him. And the avatar that I used for him originally was the animated 2D, which is the lead singer, the lead vocalist of the Gorillaz band. And that was an interesting thing to have a change of media, because in the games that I run, I encourage players in my games to choose an actor they would like to see play their character if we were making a legit movie. So having that, like, almost, if you're a DC fan, Batmite, Mr. Mxyzptlk style character that's there just to provide insight in the most obnoxious way possible. And he continued to grow to the point where I was trying my ass off to find a way to make it so that I could play him in a game. It got to the point where when that NPC that everybody dealt with for years went through a traumatic moment, the players had to take a moment of silence because they had become so connected with him. And it became so weird because when I got to the point where multiple people could hear him and see him, I would literally just walk around with my phone with Clint Eastwood queued up on YouTube, and I would just start the song, and they would be like, oh shit, Grendel's here. And I would just have that song as the almost as the crocodile from Peter Pan with the ticking. Like, they know he's around, they can't find him, but they know he's fucking here. But that's really, I mean, I wish I had more to give you on that one. And Esteban, if I am pronouncing your name right, I hope I am. Esteban, if that's really it. I just find things that inspire me and I build off of them. I guess some recent things that I've been doing is I find the things that are around me that really hold true. I created a Ventru anti-tribu embraced in World War II who could only feed off veterans that I basically based off Captain America. He was a loyal to the end Ventru anti-tribu who was just honorable accord all the way around. And I even used Chris Evans' Nomad look from the MCU. Putting pictures up anyway. But I actually used that as the avatar for what this character was. One of my favorite characters that I have now is Noah Masters, who's literally, I'm playing Black Mask from Birds of Prey, um, who is portrayed by Ewan McGregor, because I loved the concept of I'm rich, I'm whiny, I get what I want, I have this manservant who you have an awkward relationship with, and just becoming more powerful, just the idea of it. So look for inspiration where you get it, and if you come up with something off the top of your head, your own, that's awesome. And everybody is going to create characters in their own way. But that actually is my meta plot for today, is that your characters are what make the world of darkness work. Whether they're NPCs or PCs or history, your character is what makes it work. And one final note of advice for storytellers: build a history of your city. Give your characters interweaving, give your NPCs interweaving purposes that conflict. Have NPCs that want one thing and NPCs that want another, and don't be afraid to go out of your way to screw over your own characters. Your players need to be set in the middle, at least. And again, you might have other ways of doing this, but in my way of storytelling, my characters, my players, who make up the bulk of the heart of the story, are in the way. And that's the way it should be, in my opinion. The idea that I have character A who wants to get away with something and character B who wants to get away with something else, and their interactions cause turmoil in your world, the player characters can get involved with it, or they might not. It's going to happen either way. That's when your NPCs can start hiring the characters as muscle to get things done, or to help spy on someone, or to steal something. It's your NPCs need to have their own ulterior motives, and not just be, I just sit in this room I just sit in this room every night, ready to hand out quests because that's the way D&D is done, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't played D&D much since high school, but yeah, we make up the world of darkness. Our characters make up the world of darkness, and one of the most important plots in this, the most important meta plot, is what your character's doing, how they're connected to it. If you're interested, I actually think that the new system, the V5 system, actually has a new great way of helping you come up with ideas. Read the lore sheets. These lore sheets have such cool stuff in them right now. They let you flesh out a character before you even build a character. Just think about it and go, I am going to dedicate 1 to 5 XP at character creation towards a lore sheet. Read through the lore sheets, find out which one makes the character. I built a lorehound gangrel off of the idea of just collecting as many lore sheets that had to do with actual lore, like knowledge, availability to get into libraries, and having secret tomes and things like that. I built an entire character specifically off the idea of lore sheets themselves. And he was just always a fun thing to have in an area. I hope, Esteban, that answers your question on how I come up with characters. I know I rambled on a lot, and I will try to cut this down to make it a little bit more manageable and understandable. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for helping me reach 100 subscribers and interacting with me and making this fun. Like, it's not just something that I feel I need to do. It's something that I greatly enjoy, and I hope that you guys do too. thank you for joining me, and I look forward to making a lot more content, and I hope this was enjoyable for people, and I hope this channel is enjoyable for people. I am Voivod Maquette. This is Our World of Darkness, and I will see you in the next video. Good night.